Today we're going to walk through how Celigo's integration platform can help automate the process of integrating asset data in an application like ServiceNow with a custom spreadsheet from Google Sheets for smoother ITSM operations. This integration will give you real-time visibility into your tech stack and streamline communication, analysis, and decisions related to asset tracking and provisioning. Let's imagine you're the head of your company's internal tech team. You use ServiceNow to track tech assets. In your administrative capacity, you rely on spreadsheets to organize information on assets in a manner that is easily understood, prepared for analysis, and quickly shared across teams. In its simplest form, your spreadsheet may be organized similarly to this one. Having all your asset data in a spreadsheet helps with decision making on procurement, provisioning, and incident response. However, this manual process eats up time and is vulnerable to typos and other mistakes that can create an inaccurate or incomplete picture. Let's look at how you can eliminate both manual updates and inaccuracy risks using a flow between ServiceNow and Google Sheets with Celigo. In Celigo's integration platform, we can set up a scheduled flow to keep your asset data current and up to date. Let's dive into this simple two-step flow and see how it works. Using the ServiceNow Tables API, we can access this table of asset records and pull the necessary information. Here we specify the table we want to pull from. We know that this table is called ALM Asset in this case. We can also set up query parameters for specific data requirements, though in this example, we don't need to adjust these. In this scenario, we would use a delta flow type for this integration. This means that the flow will only process records that have changed since the last run, making it efficient and reducing unnecessary data processing. For demo purposes, though, we'll use a limit flow and only send over 10 records to the spreadsheet, so we can get a quick result showing our flow works as intended. Next, we take that asset data from ServiceNow and move it into Google Sheets. This Google Sheets step adds or updates asset records in the spreadsheet, making sure that the list stays accurate. In Google Sheets, we have a spreadsheet with headers for each asset attribute, like the asset name, asset's cost, system ID, and more. When configuring the flow, we'll specify the spreadsheet ID, which we can retrieve from the URL here, and the spreadsheet tab name, which is sheet 1 in this case. We'll hand that over to this template step from the marketplace so that the flow knows which spreadsheet to access. Using this checkbox, we specify whether our spreadsheet has headers. This box will then be filled automatically with the names of our headers once we save this step. Finally, since this step will automatically handle updates, we need a column to compare to determine whether an asset is new to the spreadsheet or already exists and needs to be updated. If the asset's ID matches a spreadsheet row's ID column, then the flow will update that row since it already exists in the spreadsheet. If there is no match found, the asset is new and will be added to a new row. Next, we'll configure the import mapping for this step to map the fields from ServiceNow assets to the correct columns in Google Sheets. Here, we match up data like the asset's name to the asset column, the asset system ID to the system ID column, the cost of the asset to the cost column, etc. Once the flow steps are configured and the mappings are set, we can manually run the flow with the Run button in the top right. This will pull the asset data from ServiceNow and populate the spreadsheet accordingly. As the flow runs, you can see in the Run console which records are being processed successfully and which may need attention. Once complete, your spreadsheet will be fully populated with the latest asset data. Now that we know that the flow is working, we can automate when it runs, using a schedule. By setting a schedule, the flow will run at your preferred interval, daily, weekly, as often as you need. You can use this drop-down of some common selections, or you can use a cron expression for very specific timing. This ensures that asset data remains up to date without the need for manually running flows. With this automated integration in place, your tech inventory is always current, helping you make faster, more informed decisions. By taking the time to build a simple flow such as this one, you can streamline processes like asset tracking and provisioning while reducing manual work.